everybody, I wanted to cover really quick, just jump on and cover the topic of distressed leathers and swatches. This was something that kind of threw me for a loop a little bit when I was new to the brand Rough and Tumble. It's something that's come up in private message with a number of new members, so I thought I would just do a video real quick. It's more noticeable to me on the cowhides. They're a leather that really shows the character over time, and they get distressed, which I absolutely love the look. I know this is what a lot of us love about the bags. But when I would get the swatches when I was new, the leathers would be really dark and no distressing. If you can see, this is pomegranate and this is Baltic. You can see this has been handled a little bit. There's a light amount of scuffing on it, but it's still really dark if you look at it compared to like my Breeze. I remember calling Louise and asking her on a rustic pecan swatch versus a city safari that I had, and I said the city safari has all this beautiful marbling and character, and I want to order a custom, but I want one that has like all this marble, you know, look to it. And the swatch that I had looked really crisp, and there was no, it was dark and there were no crinkles. And this is like, looking back, is such a simple thing, but Louise explained to me that they get the leather in, the leather hasn't really been handled, so the leather looks really dark and there's no distressing in it, there's no crinkling, there's no wrinkles. Then they get it and they cut it and then one of their stitchers gets it and they sew it. So just going through that entire process, the leather gets handled a lot. I'm not saying they smash your bags up like this, but the leather gets handled a lot. So by the time you get your bag, there is so much character that has been put into this leather. So I would see pictures on the group and in the lookbook, and I would be like, oh, there's this gorgeous marbling, but then I would get this swatch and I'm like, what's up? This doesn't look like what I'm seeing on the website. And I like this look. That's what a lot of us like. These are the Mont Blanc leathers, and I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. But Louise is the one who explained to me, and I've explained to several people who are new, they'll get a swatch and they'll say, this doesn't look at all like the bags I'm seeing. You're right, it doesn't. So this is what you need to do when you get, I notice it particularly with the cowhides because they're really thick leathers and they're the ones that really get kind of that marble, distressed, worn look. So when you get a swatch, if you want to know what it's going to look like, get that bad boy and crinkle and smash it and smush it up. It's going to lighten. It's going to kind of, I don't know if I'm using the right word, but it's going to like get marbled kind of. And just crinkle them up. If you get a swatch, again, I notice it definitely a lot more like on the cowhides, but by the time you really like just crinkle those leathers up, they look totally different. And this is more what your bag's gonna look like once it's been cut and stitched and handled. It's not gonna look like that before where it's like a perfect sheen. There were times, and there are times, where batches of leathers can vary a little bit, but Baltic was another one that threw me because the swatch is so much darker than the made bag. That was another one. I remember they got a batch in and I asked Louise, oh, is this new batch like a lot darker? Because look at that. I mean, that looks like another leather. So this is another one that if you get a swatch and it looks all pretty and crisp, crinkle it, work it, sit there, smash that leather around. Because by the time you get a bag, this leather's been handled a lot just at Rough and Tumble. And it, to me, it looks like by the time it gets the distressing in it, am I saying that right? It looks like a different leather to me. This is gonna be more what your bag's gonna look like. It's significantly lighter. So this was one thing that had thrown me when I was new and I was getting swatches. This still hasn't been handled as much as this bag that I got at the end of last summer. So it's still darker, but you can see it's lighter. So I would recommend when you get a leather swatch, when you want to see really kind of how accurate it's going to look like in a bag, just play with the leather. Maybe pretend like it's a stress ball. Sit there, work it. And you'll get a much better idea of what your bag's going to look like. Anyways, that might be common knowledge to most people in the group, but for me that was something I kind of had to learn the hard way. So Anyways, hope this helps somebody that maybe didn't know that already.